Creative Brain Candy by creators for creators.
Control this pieces show hard deceleration burn. Transit time 3.7 minutes, no additional time for cover. Update maintenance log come with in April.
Mako is on that ship.
But he would know by now that there is a price on his head. And do you really believe he would be so careless as to expose himself like this?
Everyone makes mistakes eventually.
Words to live by.
The ship has been underway without a stop or rendezvous since this transmission was sent. There's no way he could have disembarked. We can't afford to wait until he gets to Palace. The ship could go dark any time and he could slip away.
Yeah, and to capture him, we need to board it. He won't be alone, there'll be a fight. And we need ships and belters with guns.
When Fred and Dawes see this, they'll give us whatever we need. This time, Mako won't be able to talk his way out.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Smoking and Drinking in Space. This is a sci-fi podcast from a couple guys who think they know sci-fi. And this week, we watched the Holden family vacation slideshow starring Ghost Miller, campaign politics, and ancient alien artifacts. It's The Expanse, Season 4. But first, he's the teen who will do anything for a pretty face that gives him any kind of attention, including cooking meth. It's Rob. How are you doing, Rob?
I'm doing pretty good. Hold on.
God damn it. I hate you so much. You and those...
So, I'm doing a moon pie.
Gross.
A moon basically has like a red dot on it in this show. As it like made fusion stop working. So,
Gross.
in honor of that moon, moon pie.
Moon pies are gross.
Double-decker moon pie.
Ugh. And he's the guy in the chair up in orbit keeping tabs on all the devastating shit happening on the planet below. He's back and looking forward to the end of the contract that will get him off this show. It's SP. How are you doing, SP?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back again. And that's exactly where I'd want to be right now, because you don't want to be on a new alien planet that nobody knows what's going on down there. I think that guy was, I don't even know what his name was, Felix or something like that. I think he was very smart. So there's that. Secondly, when you said teenager to Rob, I thought you were talking about Felicia, whatever her name was.
Yeah, I thought I was a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, until then he said meth.
Yeah, and then I knew it was David. And third
and then
of all,
knew I was a girl. Ooh, what's he got?
There's 13 moves around. Oh, no, moon pie.
Oh.
Well, I gotta tell you.
2 moon pies, huh?
These things are gross.
They are. Moon pies are the worst. I can't believe you two are eating those nasty fucking moon pies. Anyways.
Now it's open, so I gotta eat it.
The things we do for the show.
Oh.
I hate you both.
Well,
Rob,
if
you got any news?
Yeah. You want moon pie news?
No, I don't want moon pie news.
Okay.
I'd prefer sci-fi news.
Well, you're in luck.
I'm not going to get that, am I?
No, you're in luck. It's all sci-fi today.
Oh, shit.
It is. All right, so we're going to start off nice and easy. Season 2. Season 2? Yeah, Season 2 of Picard is out. I think we're covering it eventually.
We're covering it right after The Expanse.
Oh, joys. Well, also, Season 3 has finished. It has wrapped up, and they are getting it going, getting it all CGI'd up and everything like that. So they made an announcement, hey, Season 3 is done, which is also the end of the season, or the series, the final chapter. Thanks for all the memories. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Cry, cry, cry. So, yeah, it's been confirmed. 3 seasons, 3 and out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm intentionally not watching it until we review it, and I'm trying to keep away from spoilers, which means that there's a couple of channels on the Gonna Geek Discord that I have definitely been avoiding. But Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So we'll
Yep.
be covering that in probably about a month. Yeah, in about a month.
About a month. Yep. We have, two more
Two
seasons?
more seasons of The Expanse,
Yep.
and then we're heading right into Picard. We're doing, 3 episodes of Picard at a time?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Second one. Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap reboot is happening.
What?
Yeah. So they've gotten their actors. In fact, they started the pilot production this past week. And for those that want to know what it is about, I happen to have a synopsis for you. The follow-up to the original Quantum Leap takes place 30 years after Sam Beckett stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanished. Now a new team has been assembled to restart the project in the hopes of understanding the mysteries behind the machine and the man who created it.
So it's not a reboot, it's a revival.
It's a revival, and they're calling it a reboot, I guess.
Reboot isn't... No, that's a
Yeah.
revival. A reboot is when
Yeah.
you totally redo something.
Right, yeah. Anyway, so they're working on that. They've got Caitlin Bassett, Nanrisa Lee, Mason Alexander Park, a bunch of people that we don't know.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of these people.
Yeah. They got a bunch of people you don't know in this. It looks like it could be interesting. Uh,
I don't know.
Maybe?
I mean,
Well,
I'm so sick.
I'll give it a shot. But I'm not
It's on
holding my
Peacock,
breath.
right?
I don't know. I mean, it is NBC. Or no, it's not NBC. It's CBS.
Okay.
Wait, I thought the
CBS.
original Quantum Leap was on NBC.
I'm looking here. I'm double checking. Oh, no, well, yeah, it was on NBC originally. It doesn't say what it's going to be.
Quantum Leap reboot pilot greenlit by NBC, and this was
NBC,
back in
yeah.
January of 2022.
Yep. Okay, so it is NBC. I think it's going to be on their main stuff. I don't think this is. I'm not seeing anything that says this is Peacock.
They're releasing
only.
it on network. Okay.
Yeah. Now, maybe they'll change their mind. They haven't said where they're releasing it. They just have they have a pilot. So,
Bakula teased significant conversations about a revival, so we might actually be getting him. I mean, if they're trying to follow him and find out more about the creator, I would think that they would want to at least reference him. I guess I would. I mean,
yeah,
that would be a draw.
I'm sure
for me
they'll
to watch it,
I'm sure they'll bring a cameo in there at some point.
like the original series in Next Generation.
Yeah.
Well, if I remember
maybe.
this series finale correctly, he basically leapt again, and that was the end of the
Yep.
series.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
leapt
he was
out of
gonna
that
continually-
barbershop and was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a opportunity to leap back home and decided not to.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe they're chasing him down, trying to figure out how to bring him back or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the original Quantum Leap. It was a little episodic for me, but it was still a really good show. I'm against all of these stupid reboots and revivals that we've gotten. Come on, let's get something new.
I don't disagree. I mean, The Expanse was something new. We wouldn't have gotten The Expanse if we got another like Battlestar Galactica reboot or something like that. Not that
Right.
I'm complaining about the 2003, 2004 one, but after that finished, they were immediately talking about rebooting it again
Right.
with like 3 different types. And I was like, no, let's get something else. Now they're talking about Babylon 5 reboot. I guess that's coming out pretty soon. And I get it. It's a tried and true thing, but there is so much in literature and sci-fi literature that's available to go out and do. I mean, the whole Honorverse with Honor Harrington is available for somebody to do either in a film adaptation or a streaming adaptation, something like that. I would love to see that. It would be incredibly complex. They're doing Halo. I mean, yay, they're doing Halo, but is Halo, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Mass
Halo.
Effect
Yes.
would be fun to do too. But anyway, there's just so much available now, either in literature or in video games, that it's kind of stupid to reboot something that's gone through an iteration already and then Just like in Battlestar Galactica in 2003, you had a bunch of naysayer fanboys saying, "Oh my gosh, you can't gender swap Starbuck. I can't believe they're doing this." And then it turns out to be great. And they're all like, meh.
Yeah, I don't know. What are they going to bring to the new Bab 5 reboot? I mean, how are they going to do that better? They could probably do better graphics. I mean, when Babylon 5 came out, it probably had some of the best graphics in the industry, but they were still pretty primitive compared to what they have today. But as far as the story, I don't see how they're going to improve on that.
They're going to actually use the sets that were created in space for the Expanse, the Medina Station or the Behemoth or the Nauvoo, whatever you want to call it. They're going to use that for Babylon 5.
Oh, no shit.
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, God. I was like, come on. Oh, my God. All right. What else you got, Rob?
Wow. Gullible's written on the ceiling.
Shut the fuck up.
Talking about reboots and redos, Dune Part 2. It is scheduled or expected to start this summer for production, with a release on October 20th, 2023.
I'm so glad they greenlit the Part 2 because Part 1 was so good.
Yep. What's kind of interesting of this is that Florence Pugh, Black Widow from Pugh, I think it's Pugh, yeah, from Black Widow fame, is possibly going to be Princess Aurelian.
Yes.
That would be sweet.
So
I saw that news. I was like, I want to see more of her. She's actually not done a ton of stuff on screen, but what she's done, I've absolutely enjoyed. So I would love to see her in Dune. Matter of fact, as Rob and I were talking right before here, I was watching Dune last night. It's on again on HBO Max because I think it left for a little bit and it's back now. And I was watching it again in the background as I was editing my other show. And it just reminding me of all the greatness to come in that series, because the first movie is introducing you to the universe again, or reintroducing you to the universe. And where the 1984 movie, I know you guys covered it, but when the 1984 movie ended and didn't go anywhere, this is definitely a whole IP, and I can't wait to see the rest of it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if they go into some of the other novels like The Children of Dune and further. I mean, there's a lot of story content in there. I would just be happy if they nailed the landing on the first book.
That's fair.
All right. Anything else, Rob?
Nope, that's it.
Wait a minute. Before we go forward, I just want to say we were talking about last time about the SLS actually coming out and being on the stand and everything. That's the big Artemis rocket. Just want to say it's supposed to be happening this week. So we will see if it happens, but it's supposed to be happening this week on time in the middle of March, like I said last time.
What are you giving the over-under on it?
I'm not.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
You're going to take the under. All right.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, let's hear from another podcast on the network, shall we?
All right.
Excited to hear what's on this week.
Psst, excuse us. We've been trying to reach you about your life's traumatic experiences.
No, don't hit fast forward. We come in peace.
I'm Jamie.
And I'm Steph, and we're the hosts of the Stay Wild Trauma Child podcast. We are two best friends who are openly sharing their healing journeys while navigating sudden loss, parenthood, relationships, mental health, and so much more.
So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and join us every other Tuesday night for some hard truths, a whole lot of laughs, and maybe even a little bit of healing.
We will shut up now and let you get back to your show.
Stay wild, future trauma child.
All right. Definitely go check them out at creativebraincandy.com and all the rest of the great podcasts that we have out there. Who's ready for a pod crawl?
Sure.
I want to see this.
Let's do it.
We can call it, I don't know, say a pod crawl? The pod crawl! Pod crawl! Pod crawl! Pod crawl! Excellent! Insert it deep! Pod crawl! Kind of like a space suppository full of information.
Now that Holden has saved the system, again, he and the Rossi crew decide it's time to take a vacation. They book their vacation through their favorite travel agent, Ghost Miller, and head to Ilis, or New Terra as the self-centered Earth people like to call it. There, they are greeted with a view of towering claw-like ruins and a new feud between the Belters that settled the planet and the mining corporation that wants to trample their claims. Holden, never one to back down from a windmill, decides he's going to broker peace between the two. Oh, and also because he was told to do that by Secretary General Christian. She's running for re-election against a former cabinet member who didn't get her way, and Christian is pulling out all of the shovels to dig up dirt and sling mud at her opponent. Meanwhile, Bobby is back on Mars living the civilian life after getting kicked out of the Martian Marine Corps again. It's not too long, though, before she starts smashing heads when she bails her nephew out of a jam and then later joins the crew of heads she smashed. She's starting to uncover a conspiracy between Mars and the Belt, but is just starting to scratch the surface when she sends a desperate message to Christian requesting a juror. Back on Ilis, Holden, the McCoys and the Hatfields are all attacked by a swarm of metal locusts, and Miller tells Holden that the Big Claw ruins are the key to finding out what's going on with the planet. It seems the civilization on this planet actually killed the civilization that created the protomolecule, and Miller would like to know how and why. So Holden does some gardening for Miller, and then Miller starts flipping switches, but flips the wrong switch and activates all of the machinery on the planet.
Oops.
After Holden torpedoes a planetary plow, the planet steps up its game by suppressing all fusion reactions in and around the planet. It's also death-raying everything that tries to head down to the planet's surface. Things get complicated as the Hatfields and McCoys amp up their vendettas, and an entire island on the planet blows up, causing a massive shockwave and tsunami to scream across the surface. Holden and the two rival factions have to hole up in one of the ruins to ride out the flood, but space slugs start to drop on their heads, killing them as they all go blind from space amoebas filling up their eye holes.
Really space
Everyone
bugs.
except Holden is infected, so he gets to escort everyone to and from the potty as he and a biologist try and figure out why he's immune. Apparently, the biologist has never heard of doing a medical history because it turns out Holden's cancer meds are what's killing the eye eaters, and once she synthesizes the med, everyone can see again. About this time Miller makes another appearance, but without his hat, which is an important distinction because it seems that hatted Miller was not Miller at all, but an imposter. Hatless Miller is the real Miller consciousness, and he's taking Holden down into the bowels of the machine to shut it, and the protomolecule, down for good. It's going to destroy what's left of him as well, but he's ready to get rid of the 100,000 or so souls screaming in his ear like a bad case of tinnitus anyway. Once in the depths of the machine, they find a tiny singularity, but Holden gets distracted by gunfire between Amos and some RCA thugs, so he runs off to check while Miller gets things set up. The bio-lady shows up at this point, and Miller has assumed the form of a metal praying mantis, and she guides Miller close to the portal, but Miller gets smashed by the machinery not wanting to get shut off. Holden deals with Murtry as only Holden can, and bio-lady drags Miller to his doom, which shuts off the machine and saves everyone in orbit. Alex is really mad at the RCA ship that tried to bomb the Rossi when her engines were down, and threatens to light them up if they so much as sneeze. Holden ships Murtry back to Earth to stand trial. Amos gets some new fingers he takes for a test run with some Jurgens, and roll Marco spacing Ashford and sending some hate mail to Earth. Credits.
All right, season 4 of The Expanse. So we are now over halfway done with the entire series. This season had kind of a change of pace, so there was a lot more planetary action involved. The planetary action had kind of a space western feel to it. And then we got the political intrigue between Christian Aversarala, and they changed her husband on us. I noticed that this season. As well,
they didn't change the husband; they just recast him. There's a difference.
Well, okay, that's what I meant. They recast the husband, and we get some kind of a foundational groundwork laid for what's going to happen in season 5 and season 6 in here, in terms of the Belt and a rebellion faction that comes out of the Belt and how Mars is working with them. So, what'd you guys think?
I liked this one. I thought it was very good. I thought it really followed the book in terms of the activities on the planet and around that planet pretty well, and I liked it. And it was kind of nice to see the words with pictures, right? You know, the slugs and all that, and how they interpreted all that. I thought it was very. It was very interesting the first time I watched it. I was like, oh, yeah, this is good. Wasn't quite how I imagined it in my head, but it was very good, what they did. To me, in my head, reading the books, the structure that they went to wasn't underground. It was still above ground, and it was open-aired. so that they had to deal with rain and that kind of stuff in the books as well. And so in my head, I was thinking it was some sort of like skeletal system, almost, just rotted out type metal structure.
Gotcha.
So this was it was a little different. I liked it. It played well, and worked for what they were doing. I like what they did with Miller, with the whole distinction between detective or the investigator and Miller himself. I thought that was really smart how they tweaked it ever so slightly.
SP?
Well, first of all, I don't ever want to imagine what's in Rob's head, so please don't ever make me go there. So,
it is dark and full of terrors.
I know. Second of all, the biggest thing that I noticed with this season right off the bat, now, of course, we're entering into a new phase in the entire story, but the biggest thing that I noticed was at the same time, we've moved from sci-fi to Prime. So there was a little bit different take on how to actually go about filming this. It was filmed more cinematically. I do believe they changed the rate down to the on screen in films. They go like 24 frames per second. So you get a little bit more motion blur. You get a little bit more clarity in the actual exposure. So you had all that combined with the fact that you're actually planet side a lot. And I'll throw this in, even though we've expanded, we've thrown the moon in for the first time. We've got this whole new planet, which I will call Illis for this entire thing. I will not call it New Terra, because I think that was very self-centric of Terra or Earth to demand a name for it.
So that seemed to only be Mercury, right? Because even Avasarala was calling it Illis at first.
Everybody was advising her to call it New Terra.
Right.
But yes, she called it Illis, which I think was the smart thing to do. But anyway, even though you have all these new locations, you're actually on Mars a lot more. The sets, the extras that they had there, it was a lot smaller than especially the first season. Like the first season on series, you see that big, huge cavern with all of the apartments, like Julie Miles' apartment on that cave side. I want to say hillside or whatever. It just seemed open. There was a lot of people around. This, you were lucky to get a dozen people in a room. Even the debate, right? The debate between Christian and Nancy Gao. You had, I don't know, maybe 15 people, 20 people in the room, something like that. And this is the UN Secretary General. You'd think you'd want a lot more people in the audience at that point in time. And yes, I realize we're in the future, 300 years in the future, and you have a lot more communication. So people are probably used to watching stuff from like that at home. But if you want to actually see these people in person, or if you want to bring your supporters in, you'd want more people in the audience. That was just my take on that. So you really didn't get that. Even the settlers and the RCE, you just really had a couple of dozen people down there. And yes, I realized that in the first 3 seasons, you had a bunch of the same things, but even in like the Nauvoo construction and some freighters going back and forth, I had the sense that there was more people, and I didn't have that sense in season 4. So it just struck me as a creative choice. Maybe they were just trying to film stuff without having to deal with large crowds and a lot of extras or something like that. But it definitely was a change in how I felt about how it was being filmed. And you do have the Western vibe. I'll take that for a second. And I had no idea why. So YouTube started suggesting some Westerns to watch. And when I was growing up, my dad, we watched a lot of Westerns, a lot of John Wayne Westerns. So in the course of the last 2 weeks since season 3, and it was since we recorded on season 3 and I went back to watch season 4, I've also watched El Dorado, Rio Lobo, The Undefeated, and McClintock, which are 4 of the later John Wayne stuff. And I was wondering why. And I was like, oh, no, duh, is because we have this Western feel going on in The Expanse. And it really is that way. There's no law. There's a bunch of guns. There's the haves and the have-nots. And there is the water claims. Like all 4 of those Westerns that I named off, they all have water rights as the big thing in them. Well, not so much in the Undefeated, but the other three, definitely water rights are there. And so you're talking about mineral rights here, and rightfully so, because lithium is a pretty rich mineral to mine. And this is the frontier that was in the 1800s here in the United States of America, or North America, whatever you want to call it. And you're now having that. Now, you throw in a sci-fi portion of this where you have the slugs, you have the protomolecule, you have Miller, you have the 13 moons. This whole thing is bizarre from a sci-fi standpoint. So it's a little bit different than the frontier, but maybe not so different than Australia, because a lot of crap is going to kill you in Australia. So basically, they should have been calling this new planet New Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely got a space western vibe. I mean, there's a ton of westerns that also deal with mineral rights and claim jumping and mining companies coming in and basically, running everybody out of town to get their claims. But and so that's where I equated this. This even comes down to the showdown at the very end of the last episode between Mercury
on the bridge.
Between Mercury and Holden, where they have a draw. They have a quick draw. So there were a lot of Western tropes in there, but they did it really well. They did it really well in mixing the Western themes with the sci-fi theme. It's sometimes hard to do. There's not a whole lot of shows that do it. The one that springs up to mind is oh my God, it just escaped. I was just about to say it, and then poof, it was out of my head. But
talking about like Shootout at the OK Corral or something like
Nathan
that?
Fillion, Rob, help me out.
Firefly?
Firefly, yep, that's it. So Firefly.
Wow. I'm going to need your sci-fi card.
Dude, I am so fucking brain dead right now. It's not even funny. It was a really well shot show. I do agree there were a lot of it was a lot more cinematic than the first three seasons. And it did feel a little more sparse in terms of population. They didn't show just a ton of people or a ton of extras. And I think that might have been partially logistics, because it seems like they were filming on location someplace, and I haven't been able to find where they filmed.
Are you talking about Illis?
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So Illis was in a rock quarry an hour and a half out of Toronto.
Okay.
It was very remote. They went out there and it was like late November, early December. So it was really cold, and it got colder as they were filming.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was winter because, I mean, you could definitely tell, but it looked a lot.
Wearing the jackets. Yeah.
It looked pretty sparse for being in that portion of Canada. So I wasn't sure if they were still filming in Canada, because they normally shoot in Vancouver, don't they?
No, this was mostly shot in Toronto.
Was it?
I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was Toronto.
For some reason I thought Vancouver, but it could have been.
No,
all the DC stuff on the CW is in Vancouver.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for this, Alcon Productions, I think most of it was shot in Toronto. Most of their shoots are in Toronto. There is a large sci-fi contingent. Defiance was shot around the Toronto area. Right. And when I was doing Voices of Defiance, there was talks about us bringing us up there and being on set and everything, but they didn't make it past the season 3, so it would have been the next season. And the showrunner was on board with starting to bring in some fans to see everything, but I could be mistaken, but some of the sets that were torn down, the lot that they tore down, I think some of that went to the Expanse. It was about that turnover time.
No, I mean, I wasn't sure, and so you're probably right. For some reason, I had Vancouver in my head, but it's probably Toronto. So I'm going to go with your, because I'm not sure at all. But yeah, I mean, that even around Toronto, that doesn't really look like Toronto. It was pretty flat and pretty arid and not a lot of vegetation. But if that was an old quarry, then that makes sense.
Yeah, it was kind of funny hearing some stories at the time. So the guy, I can't remember his name, and I never will, because I'll always think of him as Owen from Torchwood. But the guy that played Murphy, Morty, whatever you want to call him.
Murtry. Yeah.
So he flew in the first day of filming, like he took a red eye from the UK, and his first day on the set was the first day of filming. So he's getting there in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere, being introduced to this new cast, and was freezing because it was cold even on the first day of shooting. And he had no idea what was going on. So his coldness to everybody, he got to be good friends with everybody at the end, but his coldness, especially in those first scenes, like I think the first scene that he shot was the scene of the crash, the shuttle crash. You get his raw emotions of him being there for the first time and then having 23 of his friends or whatever killed, because he was there alone basically at that point. And I think they pulled it off well by having him come to the set the first day of shooting. So you get that isolatedness from him. He's a great actor. Plays a lot of people that I'm not, I don't like, but he does it well. So I liked having him on board for this season.
Yeah. So I remember him from
Pacific
The Man in
Rim.
the High Castle.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was in that?
Yes, he was in that. He was the dude that was tracking people down in the
Oh, that's
in
right.
the
That's
neutral
right.
zone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
he was
been a
in, like,
while
the
since I've watched that.
second season, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I remembered him from Man in the High Castle, and which makes sense that I guess they brought him on because that was an Amazon Prime production too. So you tend to see a lot of people that were on one Amazon Prime production go to others.
Well, you saw that with sci-fi productions as well.
Yeah, that was pretty rampant on sci-fi too.
Yes. So I had a question for you guys, and which side do you fall on, the RCE side or the Belter side as far as their land claim?
The Belters, they were there
Okay.
first.
Yeah. I'd have to go to Belters for a lot of reasons. First of all, they were there first because they had nowhere else to go. I would go with the Belters because they wanted a new start and they were there from the beginning. And the only reason the RCE came was because they were getting initial reports from this planet that it was mineral rich, which is why the RCE was sent to do some exploratory surveying. Unfortunately, the way the whole thing ran is that the people that do the initial survey, if there is a claim, get a percentage of said claim, as Morty himself said. Yeah, I know I said his name wrong, but I'm going to do that throughout this entire thing. And he said he was going to get 1%. Now, what's 1% of an entire planet full of lithium? I mean, he's set for his life, his kids' life, their kids' lives.
Yeah.
He could buy his own planet for all that. So, of course, he wants that. And they set it up so nicely. So I didn't really notice this until the second time I watched this. When they're coming down in the shuttle, the captain is talking to him, and Morty is talking about what had happened with prior claims and the fact that they paid people off and whatever. So he's seen person after person or organization after organization get paid for hard work that he's done in his mind, and he wants his payday finally. So that's what's really motivating this entire thing. Is like, these are the rules that we live by, and I want mine because I'm here, and this is how the system works, and I'm going to get it. So if it wasn't for him, if the actual captain was there, I think things would have gone extremely different if the captain didn't die on the landing.
Yeah.
But-
do you think it would have gone completely different if they came down safe?
Yes.
Do you think they would have cohabitated better?
Possibly.
I think it would have. I think it would have taken in my mind, I can't make up my mind whether to call them Belters or settlers, but you'll probably hear me go back and forth between the two. But
Well, they still
I think
considered
the Belters,
themselves Belters, so I think you're safe
Yeah.
there.
I think the Belters would have taken longer to get to the point where they didn't have the rights to the claim if it was done via the captain's way versus the way the security chief was doing it. Now, that said, there was still the opposition. There were still the terrorists there. They were trying to protect everything because they knew, a small portion of them, like 5 of them or something like that. They knew what this was all going to mean. So I don't know if they were going to experience guerrilla warfare the entire time or not. But if the captain was able to negotiate something right from the start with these Belters, then things would have been very differently. But Morty, from the very beginning, he was on the defensive because he had 23 of his people killed. So he's failed in his job right there. And he knows that this is a big payday, and he's now in charge, so he gets the payday. So yeah, the combination of things, I think, went very differently than if it was the captain in charge.
So my contention is that supposedly the RCE had this claim from the UN for this planet, but who gives the UN the authority to allow claims on that planet? I mean, it's an exigent planet. It's outside of their authority. So the Belters were there first. They claimed the planet. They settled the planet. They're improving upon the planet. They're digging ore out of the planet. It's their planet.
Yeah. So in the books, it's a combination of the UN and Martian delegates or whatever. There's a group that was assigning the claims and things like that, or assigning the stuff. And they were leaving the Belters out of it.
So again, who gives the UN
right.
and Mars authority to do that?
Right, the UN and the Mars, right? So
because
the Belters, like the Belters have nothing, and this is a precursor, and we see it in the show. It's a precursor to what turns into be the Free Navy. From the Belt, that they're tired of getting pushed around. Things are changing on Mars because there's all these other potentially habitable worlds that they can settle on.
Yeah, so who needs to terraform a dead rock anymore?
Yeah, why waste manpower and all that on a dead rock, right? So I don't know, and I think you misspoke in the pod crawl. I think this is a proto-molecule.
That was his voice in the
okay.
pod
I
crawl?
think you mistyped in the pod crawl.
Oh, okay.
This is a proto-molecule planet that was made dead by the other people, right?
Okay, so how did I misspeak?
Well, it sounded like you had. It sounded like it was said that this was taken. This was a planet that was taken over by whatever killed the proto-molecule. I don't think it was actually taken over. I think it was just killed.
The artifacts that were on the planet were of the civilization that destroyed the proto-molecule.
No, I think those are proto-molecule artifacts.
Yeah.
He's turning everything on. The only thing that belonged to that civilization that destroyed the proto-molecule people is that black hole.
Which was a bomb left over from
a bomb that didn't go off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think all of that stuff. I in my mind, all of that stuff is proto-molecule, and in my mind, all of that stuff has. They're actually mining. That whole planet is a core, or not a core, but a machine, right? And they're actually mining. The lithium is part of those machine parts. I don't think they're mining the crust, so to speak, or whatever. I think they're actually.
But wait, why would Miller not know how to turn shit on if proto-molecule Miller is turning stuff on that the proto-molecule built?
Because everything was broken.
But he didn't know how anything worked. He was just flipping switches to figure out how things worked.
Miller was. The investigator wasn't. The investigator. So two different people,
right?
Two different entities.
It was the investigator that had them take them there. If you notice, when he said, "I need a ride," he had the hat on.
Yes, but once he got there, gone. Miller's gone, or investigator's gone.
No, he wasn't.
No,
he wasn't.
We never saw the investigator again.
Yes, we did. When he brought Miller into the artifact to cut out the root to start everything, that was Investigator Miller.
Okay, to turn. Okay, so the investigator Miller turned it on, right? And so
Yeah.
so
He was
he
flipping
got it
switches
turned.
to figure out how it all worked.
No.
He turned it on, and that was the last time we heard from him. And then after that, Miller was able to start weaseling his way out. I think when the island blew up, the power plant. So the power plant blows up, which was basically a giant fusion battery. Power plant blows up. Protomolecule kicks in the fail-safe where they turn off fusion so that no more of the power supplies blow up, right? So I think at that point in time, that's when Miller shows up and starts trying to do things to figure things out. I don't think because I think it overheated because of lack of use or whatever happened during the war. The investigator was only there to try to figure out where its boss went.
Yeah, what happened to who killed the Protomolecule Society or whatever?
Right.
And
Right.
what happened to the creators?
I think
that's
the
what they
island
call
blowing
the
up
creators.
was a sabotage.
No, it was well. If it was a sabotage, it was a sabotage by from the old war, from the war.
No, I think that was Miller.
No, it wasn't Miller.
I'm
It
telling
wasn't
you,
Miller
it was
because
Miller.
all of those islands were heating up one by one, and one of them went critical, exploded, and then immediately everything shut down because that's when the fusion got turned off.
Yes, that was a fail-safe after the island exploded. Yes, but
I
I'm
don't
telling you,
think
Miller was the
think
one
it
that
was
blew
Miller.
up the island.
No, because
He was trying to get out. He was trying to shut
I don't
down
th-
whatever was suppressing him so that
No.
he could take back control.
Well, because as soon as as soon as the investigator had the power turned back on, you had all those lightnings that went out across the planet.
Uh-huh.
That's when they noticed that things were starting to heat up. So
Right.
I think as soon as I think there was one that was I think one was destroyed or one was
They all started to heat up,
damaged.
but it was just that one island later on that started to heat up to critical mass.
Right. I think that one was damaged in whatever happened in that war.
I think there were some safeguards that were turned off by Miller, and it blew it up. I think it was sabotage.
Yeah.
I don't
know. I don't know.
I don't know if Miller would have done that just because he was not trying to harm anybody. Like the investigator didn't care. Miller just didn't want to harm anybody, but he still wanted to figure out what was going on.
Remember when he came back, he said, it took me a while to get back here. And they were still trying to, the investigator was still trying to take over. You saw him flip back and forth every once in a while, trying to take back control. And he was like, I don't know how long I can keep them at bay. But also, you kept seeing a reset sequence. So right before the island heated up and blew up, there was a reset sequence. They showed the same sequence of the planet, like by the protomolecule view, where the magnetic concentric circles around each moon were showing up. You saw
it keeps reaching out. It keeps reaching out. 100 times it reaches out.
It keeps reset, and then after that last vision of the reset, the same scene that they showed resetting, that's when the plant or the island overheated and blew up. I think that's when Miller finally figured out how to sabotage something.
I think that last sequence that we saw was actually Miller, was not the investigator, that last sequence, because you saw him go to have the conversation with Holden about, what rain tastes like and stuff like that. I think those sequences were Miller.
Yeah, those sequences were
investigators.
Everything prior to that was the investigator, and they explained that they explained it in the book, and that's one thing I wish they would have explained a little bit better here. Is the investigator was there on the planet and it was reaching out trying to figure out what's going on. They can't find that black hole. Every time the investigator hit that black hole, it would die, and the protomolecule would make the investigator over again to do it to try again somewhere else. And because they couldn't see that black hole, every time they touched it, they would die. They knew something was there, but they didn't. They couldn't see it. They didn't know what was there, and so that's why it kept saying it keeps reaching out. It keeps 100 times. It keeps reaching out. It's trying to figure out what's going on. What's wrong. And they explained it in the book. There is that whole reset sequence that actually shows up as individual chapters, and there's thoughts from the investigator of like, oh, I see something, but I can't see something, and then I die, and then it resets itself. So it was really interesting reading that. And I like that they brought it in. I just wish they had explained what was actually going on there, because you do get this confusion of, is it Miller or is it the investigator? Because there are two distinct differences.
I thought it was really great when Holden finally said goodbye the first time. I mean, he said another goodbye because he's like, well, that was lame. But he knew that was going to be the last time he saw Miller. So he was like, okay, rain doesn't taste like anything, which
It's
technically isn't true, because rain actually, there is a chemical that's released upon new rain, and that's actually what you're smelling, but the rain itself doesn't smell like anything. So, but that was touching that Holden knew this was going to be the last time, and he wanted to send his quote unquote friend. And I know last time I said they weren't really close, they weren't really friends, but he was sending, because he cares about people. He always wants to save people. So he's like, okay, here's what it tastes like. It doesn't taste like anything, just so you know, before you go. And he was just trying to take care of former crew member, I guess.
So this brings up the question again. How was Miller communicating with Holden? Is this something that...
Wi-Fi. Yeah. They explained it. Well, okay, the investigator was communicating by flipping neurons and things like that, using the piece of protomolecule that was in the ship as the bridge, right? That was his WAN.
Well, yeah, but he was down on the planet. He wasn't on the ship whenever they were talking on the planet.
So interestingly enough, I heard an interview with Ty Frank, who's one of the authors, and he admitted that they never set a boundary to that Wi-Fi, but that there was a boundary. It couldn't go across the universe, but ship down to the surface was within the Wi-Fi. And that's from Ty Frank.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it's kind of the same, that signal got, when the hybrid blew up, that there was a signal that went out everywhere. Venus got it and everything like that. So I think it's pretty strong, and the fact that they're at a planet that is all protomolecule, it's dead.
Yeah, but when he was on Earth, he was talking to Miller
too. But it turns
too.
back on. But you had the protomolecule sitting in the ship. I think that glob was, let's just call it, that glob was Miller. That glob was the investigator, right? That's how the protomolecule was able to do it. And it just so happened that it was Holden that they talked to, because Miller had a connection with that particular person on that ship.
I still question why the protomolecule didn't take over the ship like it did everything else that it came into contact with, because it could have gone through the ring on its own and then gone to another ring, once it was in ring space, and figured out what, gone to Illis or Ilis, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, and figured this whole thing out on its own without having the Earthers take it there.
Yeah, so it needs energy, right, to grow. Whether reactor, radiation, whatever. It looked like it was in between a bulkhead of some sort. So maybe there just wasn't enough there for it to feed on anything.
Maybe.
I don't know. I go back to the
on a pipe, right?
Yeah, I go back to the Agatha King, and that was on the surface of the dang thing. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was hybrids that got shot at them, wasn't it?
Yes, that's true.
So I mean, they've bastardized it. It's not the protomolecule itself, right? It's a bastardized version of it.
Well, and the hybrids also broke into the ship, right?
Right, broke in, probably scratched somebody, and then that's all said and done. It's done, right? It's over.
It's zombie time.
Right. So I don't. Yeah, I'd like to think that it was stuck in the bulkhead, and it just so happened to be in a spot that had, there wasn't no electrical current or anything like that. They got lucky, is the way I look at it, and that was its little receiver.
So I loved the Rossi coming down to the planet, landing on the planet. I mean, they did the whole thing where I know a guy at the moon that will rig the ship for an unassisted landing. So it comes down, it lands, and then it's used as this mobile armory or battle station the entire time. It's torpedo is launched to kill the one tower. You had Naomi using the PDCs as heavy artillery so that she could get back to the ship. It's all done remotely. I mean, I love the Rossi, but they were definitely using all of the stuff. And Amos even was using the bullets that he had.
The railgun,
to borrow. Well,
no, not the railgun. The bullets to get booze.
Amos. Yeah, Amos bartering for booze. Yeah, sorry. I thought you said Alex.
Yeah, so if you think about the Old West, whatever, this is basically a mobile fort that's going from place to place, and it's a gunship. It's what it does, but I thought it was great there on the surface. And then I loved seeing it go, take off and everything, even though I knew it was completely CGI, and Miller was completely pissed, or Holden was completely pissed when he was walking away, but it was nice to see the Rossi take off and get back in orbit. So I liked that. I also liked the new characters, which were a trio of new women. You had Dr. Elvie, who is the RCE scientist, the biologist. Yep. You had Lucia, who's the med tech from the settlers. And then you had Wei, who's the RCE guard. I loved having them here. I'll admit, the first time I saw this season, I was getting confused between the three of them. Lucia was the first one that I was able to isolate, and then the other two I was able to isolate eventually, but I did like having those characters in this season.
Interestingly enough, it's the husband that was the one in danger in the books. So it was a dude in the books, and they switched it over to the wife. And I think it was better because it gave Naomi common ground, right?
Somebody to relate to.
Somebody to relate to, and and gave her something. I think it was a better idea, or it was a smarter idea to switch it over to the mom than to have the husband up in the dad or the husband up in the ship.
I've had zero problems with them doing either gender swaps or bringing characters forward. I talked about it last time in season 3, but I've had zero problems with that. I think they did it phenomenal. I think they made it a better series. And this was one of the problems I had reading the very first book. I'm like, these characters are bland compared to the characters that I see on screen. So they did a great job. Of course, there's stuff that they couldn't do on screen that were in the books, just condensed for time or whatever. But yeah, these three were great. LV, she was instrumental throughout the entire time. Wei was Amos's transactional sex toy, basically. And Lucia was the Naomi equivalent, and ended up with that fantastic scene of them. It was all green screen and in a studio and everything, but of Lucia getting kicked out of the Rossi and then Naomi going back to get her. It's almost straight out of The Martian for me, but it was a great scene. And if you haven't had a chance to watch that, again, normal speed, I would highly recommend that.
Yeah, and I really like the way that Amos just, shot the shit out of Wei whenever she got in his way. He warned her. He said, look, don't get in my way. Just walk away. And she's like, I can't do that. And then boom, she was gone. Amos has no fucking compunction about just shooting you in the face.
Well, he'll give you a warning, but that's it.
Yeah.
You get one warning.
Amos has even gone after Holden before, right?
Yeah.
They've had their fight out before. Arguably, it was a stalemate, but I think if Amos really wanted to, he'd take Holden.
I don't know. Blind Amos couldn't.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Finally beat you in a fight. You could say whatever you want.
Yeah. All right. So, Rob, you got a haiku for us this week?
I do. This one is titled Batteries Not Included. Lithium planet, battery islands explode, juicy black hole core.
Nice. All right.
All right.
SP, you've been coming with the limericks. I got to ask.
I do. Yep, I have one. I just want to say one thing about the season that I noticed is if this was the MCU, we have an army, we have a Hulk. This season would have been, we have an army, don't worry, we have a Bobby Draper.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do have a limerick. It is titled Part 4, We Want More. Inners and Belters jockey for ore. Holden and Miller fight at death's door. Christian, bad leader. Bobby, giver, bleeders. The Expanse Season 4 was no snore.
Nice.
Very nice. All right, who's got awards?
Yes, sir.
All right, Rob, who's got your black lung?
So Black Lung, you could give it to Christian because, smoker's lung. But I went with Illis because it went nuclear and, dust cloud, all that kind of fun stuff. It pretty much got fucked up.
It went what now?
Nuclear.
Oh, you said nuclear.
I'm sorry. I didn't enunciate in the proper spot. Nuclear.
All right, SP, what about you?
Oh, I thought about doing Christian, especially since she made every single bad decision because it was a political-based decision and not the right decision. So that's what ended up getting her not where she wanted to go. And then I thought about Lucia for blowing up the pad. We saw that flashback. She's the one who had put her finger on the trigger to blow it up before the shuttle came down. She was trying to do the right thing at that point, but not too many right things. But I decided to go for Murtry because of all the belters he smoked.
Oh. All right, so mine's going to go to the landing shuttle at the beginning whenever they were coming down. After the explosion, that thing was smoking all over the place.
Yep, sure was.
All right, SP, who's got your head lush?
I could probably go many different ways on here, especially since there was a few bottles, but I'm just going to go with Amos because he was trading bullets for shots.
All right, Rob?
Yeah, Amos he was getting booze for his bullets.
All right, so I'm going to go with Bobby. She got wasted.
Yep.
She got wasted several times.
Are.
Over there on Mars, and she was always doing dirty dealings over beers. So, and then her and her boy toy got wasted on tequila. So I'm going to go with Bobby on mine.
One of these days we're going to make you go second.
Nope,
Yeah.
my show,
Yeah.
my show. All right, Rob, who's got your player?
Oh, I gave it to Amos for having himself a side piece, doing the nasty.
All right,
all
SV?
the time, it seemed like.
Yeah, I'll take the other half of that duo. I will go with Way because he asked her, so are we still fucking? And she's like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'll go with Way.
All right, I'm going to go with Bobby again. She got a fellow Martian veteran in bed, and then even had him deliver her waffles. So, definitely going to go with Bobby on that.
Oh, we didn't even talk about her just beating the crap out of Lele or that entire thing. I mean, I know it goes into season 5 here, but Bobby came from nothing to something at the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't totally thrilled or enthralled with the B story in this series with Bobby and the espion or the conspiracy between Mars and the Belt and Mars sending them stealth tech. I mean, we're going to get into that a lot more in season 5, and we'll see the repercussions of that in season 5.
Yeah, they really took pains to set up the Marco story, and this was part of it. And unfortunately, Bobby was on the wrong side of it, and she doesn't even know it.
I mean, and this is one of the things that I think is really weakened season 5 and season 6 is some of the actions that happened in season 4 keep getting repeated in season 5 and season 6 when it comes to Marco. So yeah, we'll discuss that whenever we get into seasons 5 and 6. But so SP, who's got your purple hippo?
I was thinking about going for Ashford because, we see his video of his kid floating there and everything, which is great. And we see what happens at the end. Great action sequence, by the way, with the assault on Marco's ship.
Oh, that was awesome.
And then he gets spaced. And the entire time he's actually trying to send a message of exactly, who's responsible for what's going on and everything. And the message is actually sent. But he was singing, and of course your lungs just continue to deflate once you go out into a vacuum.
Right.
So I was thinking about that, but he wasn't mind warped on that. He was clear headed. He knew what was going on. So I went with Elvie because she saw the Black Death. The same thing that Holden's seen. They're the only two so far that have seen what Holden has seen, last season and everything. And I will definitely give it to Elvie because she is now in that exclusive club of seeing universal death.
Okay, Rob.
So I gave mine to Christian, and I did it because I can't imagine waking up one day and there be a different husband in your bed.
Same husband, just different face and
different
much taller.
face.
Much taller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So I kind of agree with the LV one with SP, but I think I'm going to give it to Holden because he's now talked to two different entities in his mind. The proto-molecule Miller and the actual Miller, and has helped, destroy both of them. So I'm going to give it to Holden. He's talking to different people in his head and describing how rain tastes. So Holden's going to get mine. All right. So next episode, we are going to cover season 5 of The Expanse. It's the season before the final season. It's a shorter season. I think it's only 8 episodes in season 5?
Season
10.
4 and 5 are 10 episodes, and season 6 was 6 episodes.
Okay, so it is 10. And so this is I don't know. This season 5 is one that I thought wasn't as good as the previous seasons. We'll see. I've only seen it once, so we'll see what a second viewing comes up with. So, SP, where can the people find you?
You can find me over on the GonnaGeek.com network. That's GonnaGeek.com. I do a podcast called Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now that is going over the X-Men, the animated series from the 90s, preparing for the 1997 or the X-Men 97 show that's supposed to come out next year, as well as we're genning up for the Moon Knight series coming up this summer. I don't know if you guys are going to cover it sometime this year, but it is the next MCU Disney Plus series to come out.
Yeah, we'll be covering it.
We are?
That's what we do, isn't it?
Yeah.
On Smoking and Drinking at Capes, your other show.
Right, yeah. I like how he's making content for my show. Thanks.
Huh? Okay.
Apparently we're going to be covering it.
Somebody has to.
Yeah. Apparently we'll be covering it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us again, SP, and we'll see you on the next episode. That's all we've got for this week. Our intro and outro is... That's all we've got for this week. Our intro and outro music is Welcome Home by Campo. Podcrawl music is Snack Fix by Machette. If you like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes. You can leave us feedback on our Discord channel at smokinganddrinkingspace.com/Discord. I hate you both. On Twitter at @Cetus_podcast or email us at smokinganddrinkingspace.outlook.com. You both suck. If you'd like to throw a few nickels our way, you can become a Patreon supporter by going to smokinganddrinkingspace.com/Patreon.
Not goodness.
Make sure to visit Creative Brain Candy for more great shows and other creative works at creativebraincandy.com. For this week, I am Jason, and I hate you both.
Yep. So sage advice was done on this this season. Don't put your dick in it. It's fucked enough already.
Rob, do you need that advice on a daily basis?
No.
I would think somebody would tell you that every day.
Nobody lets Rob put their dick in them. And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.